You've been investing for 3 years, you're saving consistently, doing everything right, but your account is still sitting at $30,000 and it feels like it's barely moving. Meanwhile, some guy online just posted about going from 100,000 to 200,000 in 18 months. Here's what I'm going to show you: why your first 100,000 takes forever while the next 100,000 seems to appear out of nowhere, and why understanding this timeline might be the most important thing for staying motivated through the slow early years. My name is Ivan, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, compound interest, and why most people never seem to escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle. If you are someone who actually wants to understand how wealth building really works instead of just hoping for the best, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up being helpful. Think about it like pushing a car. Getting it moving from a dead stop requires massive effort. You're straining, sweating, pushing with everything you've got, and the car barely rolls forward. But once it's moving, keeping it going takes way less energy. The first 100,000 is you pushing that car from zero. The second 100,000 is you pushing while it's already rolling. Here's the brutal math that explains why the beginning feels impossible. When you're starting from zero, almost every dollar in your account came directly from your paycheck. You had to earn it. You had to not spend it. You had to transfer it to investments. It's pure manual labor. Let's say you're investing $1,000 per month at 7% returns. After 1 year, you have about $12,500. Only $500 of that came from investment returns. The other $12,000 came straight from your work. After 3 years, you have about $40,000. Only $4,000 came from compound growth. $36,000 came from you grinding it out month after month. After 5 years, you're finally at $75,000, but only $16,000 came from returns. $59,000 came from your contributions. You're doing all the heavy lifting. Your money is barely helping. But watch what happens once you cross 100,000. Now you've got 100,000 invested, still earning 7%. That's 7,000 per year in returns without you doing anything. You're still contributing your 1,000 per month, which is 12,000 per year. So your account grows by 19,000 in 1 year instead of 12,500. You just accelerated by 52% without changing your behavior at all. After another 5 years, you're at 220,000. Now your returns are 15,400 per year. Combined with your 12,000 in contributions, you're adding 27,400 per year to your account. More than double what you were adding in the early years with the exact same monthly investment. Here's where the psychology gets really interesting. When your portfolio is $5,000 and it earns 10%, that's $500. You could make $500 working a few extra hours. It doesn't feel meaningful. When your portfolio is $100,000 and it earns 10%, that's $10,000. That's more than most people save in an entire year from their income. It finally feels like your money is working. When your portfolio hits $500,000 and earns 10%, that's $50,000. That's a full salary appearing in your account just from your investments existing. The percentage return didn't change. 10% is 10%, but the dollar amount that 10% represents completely changes how it feels. At 5,000, compound growth feels like a rounding error. At 100,000, it feels like progress. At 500,000, it feels like magic. This is why Charlie Munger said, "The first 100,000 is a bitch." Not because the math is harder, because the psychological experience of watching your account barely move despite doing everything right is brutal. Let me show you what this timeline actually looks like for two different people. Rich Richard starts investing at 25. He puts $1,000 per month into index funds. For the first 5 years, Richard watches his account slowly creep up. 25 to 30, he goes from 0 to 75,000. It feels like forever. He's contributing 12,000 per year, but his account only grows by about 15,000 because returns are small on a small base. But then something shifts. 30 to 35, Richard goes from 75,000 to 200,000. Same 1,000 per month contribution, but now compound growth is adding serious dollars. His account is growing by 25,000 per year instead of 15,000. 35 to 40, Richard goes from 200,000 to 400,000. His monthly contributions haven't changed, but compound growth is now doing most of the work. His account grows by 40,000 per year. 40 to 45, Richard goes from 400,000 to 750,000. He's still just investing 1,000 per month, but his account is adding over 70,000 per year because his base is so large. By 50, Richard has 1.4 million, and by 55, he has 2.3 million. The second million took 5 years, the first million took 25 years. Same person, same monthly investment. Completely different timelines. Now, meet poor Peter. Peter also starts at 25. He also plans to invest $1,000 per month. But here's what happens. Peter invests for 2 years, gets to about $26,000, looks at his account and thinks this is pointless. At this rate, it'll take forever. Peter stops investing for 3 years, figures he'll restart when he's making more money or when it feels more impactful. At 30, Peter realizes he messed up and starts again. He's back to basically zero in terms of time lost. 30 to 35, Peter finally gets to $75,000, but he's already 10 years into his career. This is where Richard was at 30. 35 to 40, Peter hits $150,000. 40 to 45, Peter reaches $300,000. By 50, Peter has about $800,000. By 55, he has $1.3 million. Peter and Richard both invested $1,000 per month when they were investing, but Richard started at 25 and never stopped. Peter started at 25, quit for 3 years, and lost momentum. That 3-year gap cost Peter $1 million by age 55. Same monthly contribution, $1 million difference from giving up during the slow early years. Here's the part about risk that changes once you hit 100,000. When you have 5,000 invested, you can't take any chances. One bad investment could wipe you out. You need to play it safe with boring index funds. When you have 100,000 invested, you've got options. You could put 90,000 in boring index funds and 10,000 in something more speculative. If the speculative play works, great. If it fails, you still have 90,000 growing steadily. When you have 500,000 invested, you can take even more calculated risks. You could invest in a friend's business, buy rental property, try something with higher upside because you got a base that's secure. This optionality accelerates wealth building in ways that aren't possible when you're starting from zero. The person with 5,000 can only do one thing: contribute and hold. The person with 100,000 can do 10 things. And some of those things might return way more than 7%. But you can't access those opportunities until you build the base first. Let's talk about the psychological traps that kill momentum before 100,000. First trap is comparison. You see someone with 500,000 and feel like you're failing with your 30,000, but you're comparing your chapter 3 to their chapter 20. They probably felt exactly like you feel now when they were at 30,000. Second trap is impatience. You want results now, but compound growth doesn't care what you want. It follows math, and math says the early years are slow. Quitting because it feels slow is like planting a tree, checking it after 1 month, and cutting it down because it's not providing shade yet. Third trap is lifestyle inflation. You get a raise. Instead of investing the difference, you upgrade your apartment and your car payment. Your account stays stuck at 40,000 for 5 years because every income increase gets absorbed by spending increases. Fourth trap is market timing. The market drops 20%. You panic and sell, or you stop contributing because it feels like throwing money away. But those crashes are exactly when your contributions buy the most shares. Stopping during crashes is like refusing to shop during a sale. Here's what you actually need to do to hit 100,000 faster. First, automate everything. Set up automatic transfers so investing happens whether you feel motivated or not. Your emotions can't sabotage you if the decision is already made. Second, increase your savings rate whenever your income increases. Got a $3,000 raise? That's $250 per month. Invest $200 of it. You still get to enjoy $50 more per month, but you massively accelerated your timeline. Third, live like you're broke for 5 years. Not forever, just 5 years. Keep your housing and transportation costs low. Skip the lifestyle upgrades. Invest the difference. Those 5 years of intensity could cut 10 years off your timeline to 100,000. Fourth, never stop contributing during crashes. The market dropping 30% means your 1,000 now buys 43% more shares. Those shares will compound for decades. Missing market crashes is how people stay stuck. Here's the timeline contrast that actually matters. Person investing $500 per month at 7% takes 13 years to hit 100,000. Then only 5 more years to hit 200,000. Then only 3 more years to hit 300,000. The first 100,000 took 13 years. The next 200,000 took 8 years. Person investing 1,000 per month at 7% takes 7 years to hit 100,000. Then only 3 years to hit 200,000. Then only 2 years to hit 300,000. The acceleration is the same. The timeline just compresses based on how much you can contribute early. But here's what matters most. Both people experience the same psychological journey. The beginning felt impossible. The middle felt like progress. The end felt like momentum. The difference is, one person doubled their contribution and cut their timeline in half. You don't need to be rich to invest. You need to invest to become rich. Quick sanity check on the objections. But what if the market crashes right after I hit 100,000? Then you keep investing and your contributions buy shares on sell. Market crashes don't reset your progress unless you sell. But what if I can't afford to invest 1,000 per month? Then invest 500 or 300. The timeline takes longer, but the principle is identical. The first amount is the hardest. The next amount is easier. But I'm 35 and haven't started yet. So start now. Being 35 and starting is better than being 45 and wishing you'd started at 35. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The first 100,000 is hard because you're doing all the work. Your money is just sitting there barely helping. But once you cross that threshold, compound growth becomes a partner instead of a passenger. Your money starts pulling its weight. 7,000 in returns, then 15,000, then 30,000, until eventually your investments are growing faster than you could possibly save from your paycheck. That's when wealth building shifts from grinding to momentum, from pushing the car to steering it. The early years feel slow because they are slow, but they're not pointless. Every dollar you invest now is buying decades of compound growth, and the difference between someone who quits at 30,000 and someone who pushes through to 100,000 is millions of dollars 30 years later. So keep going. The math is working even when it doesn't feel like it.